Now you can have your taco and eat it too. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're taking a first look, run, and review of the new Carisma SCA-1E 2.1 spec Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. And yes, this is a licensed Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro body and wheels. A couple of nice features coming out of Carisma. This is the SCA-1E chassis in its 2.1 spec version, which means it's got some updated electronics and updated stuff. We'll get into all of those things, but I will mention though, first things first, this is a true ready-to-run RTR, meaning that you get all of the batteries you need, including a battery to power the truck. Not just batteries for the transmitter, you get it all. So, pretty compelling so far. Let's go over the details of this excellent looking two-piece Lexan body. As you can see, it is a Toyota Tacoma. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a licensed body, and it's got a lot of really nice details molded into the Lexan, as well as some excellent additional molded plastic pieces, like this front grille. Look at that grille. That's about as much a TRD Pro grill as you can possibly get. Nice plastic piece there. Molded inner light buckets. We've also got a molded hood scoop on the front here. Molded rear view mirrors. Molded door handles. Molded shark fin antenna on the roof. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that before. Molded bumper and molded rear bed latch. Lots of nice little molded details. Now, because this body is black and it's a little bit dark in my studio today, you might think that these are just painted on window stickers. Well, they're not. It's dusty because I already took it out driving it. They're tinted windows. You can see through them. My finger is there, I promise. You can run an interior. You could put an interior in this truck. Doesn't come with one, but you could put an interior in here without having to swap out or change those decals. Decals for window wipers, that's the only kind of bummer on exterior details. One other thing, and I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, but the drop bed is non-existent. That is an elevated drop bed, actually. Maybe it was meant to look like a tonneau cover. They missed the mark on that, in my opinion. It certainly looks more like just a non-drop bed. Obviously, that's because of where the shock towers sit, but it is a two-piece, so you could just run the cab only, or just the bed if you wanted to do that. Not sure why you would, but very nice molded details. Lots of good mold lines built into this that really sell the look of a Tacoma. It looks exactly like you would expect a Tacoma to look. It is scaled to about 10th scale, so it is overall a little bit smaller than most of the stuff we're seeing these days, but it is properly scaled. If they made it any larger, it would have to go beyond the 12.3 inch wheelbase of the SCA-1E chassis, and obviously they didn't want to do that, so they went with scaling it to the proper wheelbase, and it looks fantastic. If anything, it's a little tiny bit narrow. The tires do stick out about 1/4 inch from the fender wells. Overall though, it's an excellent looking body, and the molded headlight and taillight buckets really sell the look. And look at how they've done the LED lighting included to make it appear as if it's got those daytime running lights. That looks really awesome, and it looks great in video. You do also get tail lights and reverse lights that are always on. Now, one other thing about this body, the way that the place where they've put the body pins, there are body pins, so another strike against it in terms of how it sort of stacks up to the competition these days. They put them pretty far forward in the bed, so there is a little bit of bounce built into that rear portion of the body. There's nothing supporting it. The bumper is attached to the body. We'll get into that though later on. There are some additional bumpers included, and we'll get to that. They've got Carisma branded rubberized tires. There is a foam in there. They are vented as well. And not the best performing tire that I've ever seen, but not the worst either. There's enough plush, rubberized kind of malleability to those tires. Good word, self. That they do perform pretty well. They are a short tire. These are going to sit at 3 and maybe 3/4 inches tall, so they're not a very tall tire. Sitting on a 1.9-inch beadlock wheel to match the TRD Pro wheel, so you've got that going for you as well. So it is a pretty reasonable combo for the size of the truck. That would be like a 19-inch wheel, so maybe a little bit large, but still in proportion with the rest of the truck and looks pretty good. Plastic sliders as well. Those come in the box, not installed on the truck. Same with the mirrors, but I was like, I'm going to put those on there, making sure it looks as good as it possibly can. I think it looks pretty good. Carisma does include, let's see if I can get these. In the box, which is right there, by the way, you do get an additional sticker sheet that just gives you the outer portion window trim and a different set of stripes. So if you wanted to detail it out that way, you could. However, as I discovered, this stripe here, you get 2 of those. For that side only, passenger side only. You don't get a driver's side one, so you can't use them. There it is. There's the other one. As I discovered, I tried to take it off and put it on the truck, and I was like, oh darn, there are 2 passenger side ones. So bit of an oopsie on the old sticker sheet, but otherwise a very nice looking body, and I do like the stripe pattern, so it looks pretty good. I have heard that they are going to offer the body clear as a standalone option, so those of you who are interested in just the body can probably pick one of those up too. Also missing are inner fenders and any sort of interior, and I think we're getting to the point now where inner fenders should be something that every scale, trail, or rock crawler or anything in this segment of the market really needs to have at any price point. I really feel like that's something that needs to be included. So I hope you're listening. Okay, let's get this body off, this great looking body, it really is, and take a good look at this chassis, this SCA-1E version 2.1? Yeah, 2.1. All right, and of course there is the inside. You can see that there are many light buckets, and they are placed in there with some Gorilla Tape, which means you could take them out if you wanted. But nice heavy-duty light kit. You get 5 mil for the headlights and 5 mil for the taillights as well. If you are at all familiar with Carisma, you will know that this is a chassis that they've been using for some time now, and if I'm honest, it reminds me a lot of the original SCX-10. Not the SCX-10-2, the SCX-10. There's a lot of similarities, but they have made some updated changes to the layout in order to make it a little more desirable in this day and age, and we'll get into where I would put it comparison-wise a little bit later on, but to get a good look at it here, it is a C-channel ladder frame chassis. Some flexibility built in, of course, because it is, a value-conscious chassis. But battery up front, servo on chassis as well. Lots of plastic, but metal links. You are getting metal links. It is a 4-link front and rear, despite having servo on chassis. Your front steering link is plastic, but then the drag link is metal. 25 tooth servo. I could not tell you what the specs are on that servo. I don't think we know. Nope, no idea on the servo. Certainly not tons of steering power, but enough to get you started. It is an RTR, of course. Multi-piece plastic axles with metal gears inside. Having all these multi-piece parts on these axles mean that it is easy to replace a part if it breaks. You don't have to replace a whole axle housing, you can just replace a piece. From what I know, part support is pretty good on these chassis. There are a lot of them out there, so it should not be a problem finding replacements if something were to break. Metal drive shafts, really nice to see that at this price point for sure. You are getting a 3-gear center-mounted transmission with a brushed 5-pole motor, so it is a nice, quiet, high-torque motor, which is really nice to see. XT60 connector, you do get a 7.2-volt nickel metal hydride battery with a Tamiya connector and a XT60 adapter. So that's how you can use this with this new ARC2 ESC. It is a very programmable ESC and is quite feature-rich. In fact, in the box, you do get this programming box, which allows you to change all the features of that ESC, adjust your drag brake strength, choose LiPo or nickel metal hydride batteries. It will run on 3S batteries. It has a host of options that you can program to your heart's content. And it's nice to see at this price point a pretty feature-rich ESC, which is waterproof, I might add. That 5-pole brushed motor is a 17-turn motor, which equates to around 35-turn standard 3-pole brushed motor, which gives you plenty of torque. It's a nice, torquey little motor and gives you plenty of wheel speed with the built-in reduction of this transmission. All right, receiver box. There is a receiver box on the back here, which I'll flip around so you can get a better look at it. They've glued the antenna in place, which I think is to make it waterproof. That said, there is a gaping hole where all of the cables go into said receiver box, which is not waterproofed. So that's a bit of a mystery. Don't really understand that one. Plastic shock towers, plastic bodied shocks with aluminum caps, and those are oil filled, of course. They do a pretty decent job of dampening everything, but because we're dealing with such a small tire and the larger pumpkin on these axles, it does tend to get hung up. It is really suited to being more of a trail truck in its stock form. And I know that some people object to the term trail truck, but this really is more suited to that than it would be rock crawling in its stock form. If you wanted to change out these tires, by all means, go for it. Raise the body up, the body posts are adjustable, and in fact, these shock towers give you a lot of shock mounting options as well. There's a ton of different mounting holes there, so you can tune this to your liking, raise it up a little bit, get a larger tire under there, and I think it would compete quite nicely with, say, an SCX-10-2 deadbolt. I don't usually talk much about pricing, but $379 puts it at a very interesting price point. You get a lot of truck for your money with this. And it comes down to whether or not you're willing to buy something that may not have as widespread parts support as, say, an Axial or Element or Traxxas, but gives you a unique body and a nice starter truck. Toyota Tacomas are independent front suspension, and the Carisma model is definitely a solid axle swap. So if you're going for sheer accuracy, minor problem there too, but certainly going to be a better overall performer than an IFS system. That's just how it is. Along with the truck, of course, you're going to get the battery, like I showed earlier. You're going to get a very weird charger, a USB charger with a gigantic magnet on it. This is only going to be for your nickel metal hydride batteries and will probably take a year to charge. You also get the KD ProPo 2.4 gigahertz radio. This is a more budget-friendly radio. Very, very, very basic analog controls. It does give you 3 speed options. If you're a beginner, of course, go with 1 or 2. If you're an expert like me, stick it in 3. You also get a manual, which gives you all of the features of that ESC that you can program here. It's a small manual, but it does show you everything that is programmable with that ESC. You also get 2 possible bumper options, which do mount to the chassis. There's also a couple of bumper extension pieces if you needed to raise or lower your bumpers based on whichever body you were choosing. This is the front bumper that they include. It's molded plastic, room for a winch as well, and you would have to cut the body in order to make this fit, and I didn't want to do that quite yet because I wanted to run it in its stock form. This looks pretty good though, and I think I may actually do that cut to the body and run that in the future. You also get a rear bumper, and there is somewhere, where is it here? There is also a bumper receiver hitch here, so you can plop that in there, and then you've got a way to tow a trailer if you like. Will it compete with the rest of the trucks on the market? I mean, this chassis and this layout is fairly dated by today's standards, but Axial's still running one. Why not Carisma 2? Its performance out on the trail would be what you would expect from a small-tired trail truck. Not super great on the rocks, but definitely looks great out on the trails. But it's not really suited to rock crawling specifically. But I mean, look at it. It's a stock TRD Pro Tacoma. You wouldn't take it rock crawling anyway. If you're looking for a licensed Toyota Tacoma body and a reasonably good starting chassis on which to trail around with, it's a pretty decent set of features for the money. And the shortcomings I think I could definitely look past. I think Carisma did a great job of modeling the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro body. I love the wheels. I do really like the look of the truck. I like the LED lights that are included, and it's really decent set of electronics. It's a pretty good beginner's trail truck, and it's a nice place to start if you're especially looking for a Toyota that's licensed. I think with a few key details added, it'll be an excellent looking truck, and definitely has potential, I think. Definitely worth a second look, I'd say. My thanks to Carisma for sending me the TRD Pro. I'm very happy to have this on the bench, and I do think it looks really nice. I think I'm going to have to make some modifications, though, to make it my own. Do you think that this is the sort of truck for you? Let me know in the comments down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of them as I can. And if you're enjoying this video and you like to see reviews and you like to see trail trucks, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. I think that's going to do it. A nice first look at the Carisma SCA-1E 2.1 spec with the TRD Pro licensed Toyota body. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.